Hi, my name is Louie. I'm 14. Do you love your parents? Do you love them so much that you're ready to forgive them for their terrible actions? I do. As long as I can remember myself, I never saw anything other than the walls of my home. My entire universe fit into 2 floors and was split into a living room, a kitchen, a hallway, and my room. All the windows in my house were taped over with black, impenetrable tape, and they didn't open. Father would lock the doors leading outside with a universal key, always strapped to his belt. I never exited the house. The outside world didn't exist any more for me than the world of comic books does for you. No matter how many times I asked my parents to let me go outside, they always said no. They said that they want to protect me. They said that all kids around the world live as I do, because the outside world is full of danger, and the biggest one was a shadow in a cape. According to them, this person kidnapped children and did very bad things with them. But I didn't believe them. For me, it was just another of my parents' fairy tales meant to keep me at home. One day, Father lost his key. He looked around the house but couldn't find it, because I found it first. Finally, I had a chance to see what was on the other side of the door. I carefully planned my escape. I waited for my parents to fall asleep and sneaked past them and went to the door. I unlocked the door with ease and was already prepared to run off with freedom. I snapped the door open and saw him. A huge figure in a wide cape and wide-brimmed hat was right on the doorstep. It was him, the shadow in the cape. From fear, I quickly slammed the door and yelled in such a way that my mom instantly appeared beside me, as though she had been waiting around the corner. I asked her to call Dad over so that he can protect me, but she said he was already outside chasing off the shadow. That night remained a nightmarish memory. I never again asked permission to go outside. I continued living in my universe, looking through the only non-taped window, which was carved right into the ceiling of my room. Though I could see the sky, sun, and the top of the trees, I was a prisoner in my own home. But I was thankful that my parents protected me. But one day, everything changed. That evening, as always, I watched the sun go down. Suddenly, I noticed a silhouette hanging on top of a tree. It was a girl the same age as me. I couldn't believe my eyes. What was she doing on top of the tree? Getting away from the shadow? But she laughed instead of being scared. She saw me and waved to me. I don't know why, but I got scared and I didn't go back to the window that evening. The next morning, I noticed a wrinkled paper airplane lying on my window. And though the window was locked, I knew a sneaky way of opening it a little bit. The airplane was a letter from that girl. Her name was Summer. She was our neighbor, and she asked why I don't go out. I took a sheet of paper, wrote my name, and that I'm scared of falling into the hands of the shadow in a cape. Then I threw my letter outside. That's how our correspondence started. She told me something very strange, that no shadow exists, and that normal children go outside, go to school, and leave their house whenever they want. At first, I didn't believe her, but her words were so convincing that I no longer had any doubts. Either Summer was the shadow's frontman, or something even scarier. My parents were lying. During dinner, I asked my parents about internet, school, and cinemas. They calmly told me they never heard of these words, but it was impossible not to notice the fright in their eyes. The next morning, they searched through my room and found Summer's letters. That was the first time I saw Father enraged. There was so much anger in his eyes that I was not less scared of him than I was of the shadow in the cave. I was punished and locked into my room with 5 locks. They took away all my pens and pencils, forbid me from reading, and understanding how I had opened it, Father boarded up the window. I understood that I'd never again see the sun come up. But the scariest thing was that my parents had been lying to me my whole life. Month after month went by. My parents stopped talking to me. It seemed like I was a traitor to them. I no longer got any letters from Summer. I became the loneliest person on the planet. But one night, that same window was broken. Someone from the outside world was breaking into my room, breaking the boards. I was scared and started calling my parents for help. They instantly ran over, hearing my yelling. I heard as they started unlocking the numerous locks on my door, but they didn't make it in time. It was Summer. She broke through and threw me a rope. "Climb up faster," she yelled. I had not a second of doubt and climbed to her. For the first time in my life, I was going out into the outside world. I felt the wind, smell of grass, and the noise of leaves. It was really something. Summer gave me the rope and ordered me to go down first. You know, it was probably at that moment that I understood that I was in love with this unmannered girl. As soon as I stepped onto the grass, I saw the thing I tried to forget about. The one who was in my nightmares every night. From out of the corner, I saw him. The shadow. I was literally frozen from fear. He slowly and threateningly came toward me. Only a few feet separated us, which is when Summer got down the rope and was right on his path. "Oh God, Summer! He's going to steal her! I can't let it happen!" That moment, I got over my fear and jumped to the shadow and knocked him down. I heard a woman scream and police sirens. I took the shadow by the cape and yanked it off, seeing that behind the image of the child kidnapper, behind the image of my worst nightmare was my father. From shock, I literally forgot how to breathe and silently peered into my father's eyes, cold and hard. The police arrested my parents. The last thing Mom said before she was put into the car was, "Sorry, you'll understand everything when you find out the truth." During the court proceeding, Mom and Dad repented of having denied their own son's freedom. When the judge asked my mom, why, she said something that made me love them even more than I had. She said that I had an older brother, but he went missing before I was even born. He was just 7 and was playing with the other kids right in front of our house. She had been watching after him from the kitchen window while Father watched from the garage. But as soon as they stopped paying attention for just a couple of minutes, he disappeared. The other kids said a man in a cape and a wide-brim hat had taken him. He took my brother by the hand and put him into his car and drove away. He wasn't found. And so, on the eve of my birth, they decided to protect me no matter what. They told me stories about the man in the cape and the hat, so then I was always ready in case I met the kidnapper. My parents' case was exceptional because I, the victim, the one who was denied a normal life, asked the judge only one thing: to let them go. Everything seemed to be the same way my parents described. The outside world is scary and treacherous. Its laws are not at all fair. It's doubtful the words of a 14-year-old boy will change anything. Now, my parents may face a long prison sentence, but I will do everything to protect them and free them. Summer's parents offered to take care of me and become my temporary guardians. I'm sure it's thanks to her. Now, I have started going to a normal school, going outside at night with Summer, and exploring the world that used to be just an image for me. You know what? Freedom is a damn nice thing. Thanks for being with me these few minutes. Do you have problems with your parents? Let others know in the comments. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.
Hey friends, my name is Andrew. This is my fantastic life story. The thing is, my parents never forbid me anything. My friends are normal. Well, with their own bugs maybe. But they don't stand out in a crowd. My dad is a metal fan in his spare time, so he rides a bike like a god. My mom has a huge tattoo on her back, but they're normal anyway. Seems like they've decided to teach me freedom and independence in their own way. When I was a kid, they never told me things like, you can't do it, or you mustn't, or you're not allowed to do that. If I tried to get into the socket, my mom sat next to me and explained in details why I shouldn't do that. She showed me some examples and small experiments. Anyway, she found out the human brain doesn't perceive the no. So, she worked on kids' psychology. Along with that, she developed me with her cool stuff. Of course, I grew up, and I don't do any life-threatening tricks. Well, almost. But again, no one said anything to me. Once I wanted to climb the walls of the apartment block next to ours. Here's a card for me for 10 climbing classes in an upscale school and a beginner's equipment. I wanted to learn skateboarding. Here's your skateboard, son. And along with that, the first aid guide, the helmet, and the knee pads. If you don't want to use the knee pads and the helmet, just look through the guide. And here I am, a hero, with my wounded knees, sitting on the curb and treating all the bruises with things from a pocket first aid kit. Everyone else shows envy, of course. Later, I didn't get on the skateboard without the helmet. Well, I think it makes sense. If my ideas didn't threaten my health, I was taught how to just deal with consequences. If I fell down, I knew how to treat myself. But I'd do something greater, like climbing or diving after special training. And you know what? I didn't give up extreme things, but I started to love my parents even more. Things were more complicated with my looks. At 14, out of the blue, I thought the blue mohawk was just what I really needed. And at home with a friend, I created a cool hairstyle. And then I came home proud. I now look at the pictures of those times. I think my parents pretended hard not to laugh at me because they didn't even smile. Though I think they'd laugh non-stop, at least for a couple of hours. Ripped jeans, strange experiments with looks, pierced nose, eyebrows, cheeks. On my 16th birthday, my mom took me to the tattoo artist whom she knew for a long time. Everyone was shocked a little. My friends envied me so much, their parents even forbade the girls to paint their nails. Not to tell about such experiments I did. Clear enough, there were no problems with alcohol and smoking and other interesting stuff. What to keep close? I first tried smoking when I was 13. I didn't like it. Maybe because it wasn't forbidden. I just asked Mom for a cigarette. She bought a packet of cigarettes and never forbade me to smoke. I don't know. With alcohol, it was much more interesting. Me and my friend were 15. We scraped some pocket money for a bottle of cheap beer, so we tried to enjoy it. We went to my place because we wouldn't get into trouble there. So we tried it and almost died. It was so disgusting. My dad came in, looked at our sufferings, and got us some whiskey or scotch or some other stuff from the bar. Then he gave us some snacks and invited us for a talk. Well, we looked at each other and enjoyed it. Good alcohol felt much better than cheap beer, but frankly, it was disgusting too. And again, no prohibition for that, so no use to experiment. We tried it and calmed down, and Dad was my personal hero again. With my mom, of course, though I still don't get why they didn't laugh at what I was doing. Well, of course, I was taught to ride a bike too, and I'd say quite early. I was even behind the wheel, but only where no one would see me. And when I first took my girlfriend home, my parents just disappeared, leaving behind a couple of questions from the girl and a pack of condoms on the bedside table. Why am I telling you this? The thing is, the absence of punishment also works, and I can say it works perfect. My parents never forbade me anything. My parents only helped me to develop and explore the world safely as a kid, and then as a teenager. Now, I'm 18. I'm a healthy and smart young man. I'm an interesting person with no lack of emotions and memories. Alcohol, drugs, smoking, and all that stuff doesn't interest me. I don't get involved in dangerous things because I've learned to think twice and make decisions, even in extreme situations. Now, I look like an ordinary student. I want to achieve my goal. I want to open my own tattoo studio. So I'm going to be an artist. By the way, I've already made my first tattoo experiments on people. Guys, you should know, prohibitions don't really work. Write in the comments if you agree. Show my story to your parents. Maybe they'll listen to it. And mind, don't forbid anything. Explain. It works not only with the kids, by the way.
Kijk aan. Hey, busy. Go away. Ok, me empieza así. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm a lot better than you. Yes. She left. You're gonna regret that. You're actually going to regret that. That was a sick edit. See, I can edit, but I can't shoot. You're a bot.
Hey guys, my name is Linda. I want to tell you a couple of stories that happened to me when I got my first job. When I was 16, suddenly there appeared a new trend among teenagers to earn pocket money on your own. Well, in our class, it was a shame to say your parents gave you money, even if it was for lunch or transport. Everyone earned money themselves, doing simple jobs, but it was more or less stable income. It was enough for buying gadgets and having fun. 2 of our straight-A students got the best jobs. They got paid for writing tests and reports, even for some universities. The pay was not bad at all, especially for their age and skills. For the boys, it was fine too. They could go and work at a construction site. The work was hard and dirty, but they were paid so well that they could spend the next year doing nothing. As for me, I couldn't make up my mind. I had no skills, no talents, so there was only just one way left. I got the job of delivering ads. The job was ungrateful. They didn't pay me very well, but I worked only a couple of hours a day, and I didn't need any special knowledge. Perfect for a schoolgirl. But anyway, it was boring. I came up to the door, rang the doorbell, gave the leaflets, and left. But people were different and reacted in different ways. Most reactions were negative, and especially on the weekends. Once I faced a thing
Like you
they
really
didn't warn
get
you about
me.
at the interview. I came to the door and knocked, and there was a heavy and very creepy man behind the door. There I was, standing there, mumbling about building an investment, and he was looking at me like a predator. Then he invited me in to fully discuss the proposal. Of course, I refused, already prepared to run. The work was done, the information was reported, it was time to go home. So I started retreating slowly to the stairs. He followed me. He started saying
Fair.
something about my beauty and reached out for my arm. He managed to grab and pull the sleeve of my jacket. I ran away in a torn jacket, thinking it was time to quit my part-time job. Plus, the man who lived just a floor above that creepy dude, who almost looked like his twin, let his dog out on me. That day, I ran like I never did before. At least the dog was not aggressive. It chased me to the front door and then went back home. I thought it was just because the man didn't give it an order to eat me alive. But the most terrible and memorable event occurred at the end of my career as a peddler. I had seen so many things, from people opening the door naked to the old woman who tried to feed me with dried fish. So I decided to quit, but I had a contract, and I still had to work another week. So there I was, counting doors and minutes. I knocked on the door of one of the apartments and heard rattling, as if someone was choking. I knocked again. The rattling stopped. I asked if someone needed help, or if I should call the ambulance. I got an answer through rails and sobs. It turned out there was an old lady locked behind that door without food and water. Her son literally doomed her to starvation. 6th floor, a boarded up balcony, the door locked from the outside. She said she tried to knock on the radiators, but no one came. I called 911 and I listened to her. The old woman said she recently started to feel bad. She was 83. Anyways, she thought she was going to die, so she decided to officially give the apartment to her only son, so it would be easier for him to deal with the succession after her death. Of course, her son showed up right away and brought a lawyer with him. They signed the papers, arranged everything, and they left. After a while, the old woman started to feel better. She told that to her son on the phone. Apparently, the desire to get a free apartment was stronger than family bonds. So he locked up his own mother and even took thought into turning off the water, just to make sure she wouldn't suffer too long. I came on time, because she had run out of water for 2 days already. I was terribly scared. How could he have done this to his own mother? Basically bury her in her own home. I could not believe it. Fortunately, the ambulance and the police arrived. They unlocked the door and took the old woman away. She looked really bad. I was asked to wait until her son arrived. He looked like a decent man. He arrived with a briefcase in a good car, and he started lying, saying the old woman was crazy, and he locked her just because she would run away and get lost in the city. When they asked him why the fridge was empty, the windows were boarded up, and the water was turned off, he could not answer. That's where he was busted. I gave up this ungrateful job. I mastered Photoshop and now work in design, already as a student of a university. But these stories are still...
I married my wife's mother. Now I call my former wife daughter. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas, and I turned 59 yesterday. For many years, I worked in a college. I taught history and political science. I adhered to an informal style of communication, shared personal memories with students, and helped them by offering my advice. Many students have become my friends, and we still talk to this day. All my life, I had loved only one woman, my wife, Al.
That is kind of creepy. Do 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 do. So here's where Dusty used to be. Dusty, yeah, here's where Dusty used to be. Here's where Frenzy No, Fatal was his. So he was down here, I think. I miss old map. I love this place. It's actually like really good. Plus there's this front next to it. Oh no. Look at me, the trashy little bot. Why am I lagging? Ah! Guys, see that down there? Yeah, there's a person. Mate, you've actually got problems. You guys are probably gonna moan at me when anybody watches this that I've left. That actually looks like a swordfish to me. Trying to gun in Black Ops 4 swordfish. Get the SWRD fish. See, this is actually quite good loadout. Well, it has more on it. 10, here we go. Want to chippy. There's no point in me taking that. I don't know how anybody can leave us. This guy, I swear to God, he is actually terrible. Got no shield though, that's one problem. I got too cocky there. What the hell was that? That was gold. That was a pistol. I thought that was something. Please, I beg this guy go. Because of lag. I don't think this guy's alright. See, this is one thing I hate about this chair. Why does everything have to always get wrapped around it? Yes, I interact. I hate these headphones. I like my headphones, but I hate these headphones. Hello?
Hello, will you not get a tea, please?
Oh, Mum.
Love you. Where are you?
In the, what's it called, underneath my bed.
Thank you, love you. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. It's already boiled. Huh? Bastard. You just killed me, son. 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 You just killed my son. You just killed my son. You're dead. You're dead and I don't think you know it. You're dead and I don't think you know it. You're dead and I don't think you know it.
Hi, my name is Kim. Have you ever been ashamed of your appearance, or maybe even hated it? I was the black sheep of my family. See, the thing is, I'm an orphan and my foster father constantly reminded me about that fact. He called me a parasite and an abandoned infant, for whom he throws away a bunch of money on medical care. I was a sick child. My foster mum worked as a nurse, which is why there was always a bed available for me. When the head physician, Dr. Roberts, became a real friend, he always found a few nice words to tell me and a sweet lollipop. Only Dr. Roberts and my foster mum treated me like a person. For everyone else, I was a parasite. It seemed like my foster father regretted agreeing to my mother's wish to adopt me. My brothers constantly mocked me. Hey, fried potato, do you know why you don't have a mum? Because you were born in a deep fryer and got burned, my stepbrothers joked. They hated me for being different than them. Their jokes always hurt me, but I couldn't do anything about it. Maybe my brothers would stop teasing me if my skin were to become lighter, but it's probably impossible. Though, one day, surfing the internet, I stumbled upon a product which would solve everything. It was a special cream for skin whitening. I broke my piggy bank and ordered the cream. When it came, I, barely reading the instructions, started applying it on my arms and face. The effect was great. Just a week later, I saw that my skin became lighter. My brothers also noticed, but they reacted differently than I had expected. Dad, I think Kim became rotten. She's so pale, like rotten yogurt. Maybe you should have adopted someone
Taste
fresher.
that. Look at that and
Asked
taste
me if
that.
there was anything I would
Are you
like to tell
serious?
her, but I always sternly said no.
Dream.
I thought maybe I'm just not white enough, and so I started using a cream that was 2 times stronger. That day, I applied it a record 6 times. Then I applied it once more before bed. This decision proved to be my fatal mistake. That night, I slept badly, and that morning I woke from a terrible itch and a burning sensation on my skin. I looked at myself through the mirror. It was terrible. My face and hands were covered in blood blisters. My parents and brothers woke up from my screams. Mum drove me to the hospital. I lay down on the back seat, wrapped around in a sheet, like a Cuban cigar, while she cried and whispered, "Forgive me, forgive me." In the hospital, Dr. Roberts personally took over my care. Ends up the cream was very toxic, and I also exceeded the dose by several times. I thought I would lose my skin forever. When a week later they took off the bandages, I squintingly went to the mirror. I was scared of opening my eyes, but it seemed everything was okay. My skin started recovering. My mum in tears asked me, "Why did you do it, Kim? To become like you, so then I can be your daughter." But what Mum told me shocked me. "You already are my real daughter." She told me the secret that she had been hiding for almost 16 years. She was my biological mother. She met my father while working as a practitioner in the hospital. At that time, she was young and dumb and could not resist the charm of a mature doctor who was older than her by almost 30 years. One night with him forever changed her life. When she found out she was pregnant, she understood what a problem she would have. Life would drastically change. Becoming a nurse would become merely a pipe dream. But Mum could not make the decision to get rid of the child, and so lied to everyone that she is leaving for travel across Europe. But she actually went to a small city on the edge of Texas, where she gave birth to me. Sometime later, she left me at an orphanage, but it was so hard for her to live with it. She constantly thought about me and suffered. Some years later, when she already got married, she decided to adopt her abandoned child. After some long discussions, her husband agreed, though he, of course, didn't know that I was her real daughter. And who was my father? The old Dr. Roberts. Since then, half a year has gone by. The burns on my skin fully healed. Dr. Roberts offered to adopt me when my mum told him the truth. He was so happy that he threw away his cane and jumped as though he was young. "I have a daughter! I have a daughter!" His kids were grown up and lived abroad. His wife had died a long time ago. Without hesitation, I accepted his offer as he was the only person, other than my mum, who treated me well. We were similar. How didn't I notice that before? I remained the dark girl with curly hair, but now I am not at all ashamed of it. I understood that I was meant to be the way that I was, regardless of my skin color. Thanks for being with me these few minutes. Have you ever been ashamed of your appearance? Have you tried to change it? Write it in the comments. Give the video a like and subscribe to the channel.
I started my career in finance, but after a few years, I felt really trapped. I knew I needed to make a change. I've always been passionate about design. I just didn't know if I could make it my career. So I started searching for jobs on LinkedIn. I found a really cool job in graphic design. It lets me be creative every day, and it's a far cry from the corporate world. I'm finally doing something I love. I'm Jay, and I found a job that doesn't feel like work.
Hello, I'm Bruce. Right now I'm 21 years old, and I'm happy. But just a few years ago, I was broke, alone, and homeless. And all of it was because of my mother. Since I could remember, my mom didn't really care about me. We always had some food at home, but that was it. She never talked to me or asked me any questions unless she needed something. She would also berate me if I broke something or talked too loudly. Once she was supposed to pick me up from school in the middle of the winter, but she forgot, and I had to walk all the way home because I had no money. I was wet and cold and got sick for several weeks. And she did buy me medicine, but then forced me to go to school because it was too big of a hassle for her if I stayed at home. It was confusing and painful to me when I was a kid, but I had gotten used to it by the time I got older. When I became a teenager, I was rarely at home. I was always hanging out with my friends, sometimes for the whole night because, well, nobody cared if I was at home or not. So I could do whatever I wanted as long as I didn't create any problems for my mom. I was bad at school, but I was doing barely enough so that my teachers wouldn't call her. I wasn't hanging out outside all the time because I wanted to. Pretty often, it was because I didn't feel like I had a home. My mom always had men in her life, and they would come and go every few years. So it felt like I was just the tenant in a house of two strangers. With my stepfathers, it was like they were literally strangers. But with my mom, just felt like it. Well, I was at least thankful to them for not messing with me and for leaving me alone. This all changed when I was 17, and she started to date an ex-military man. And boy, was he strict. He had all these rules, like specific times I had to come home and that I suddenly had chores to do at home. He was constantly telling me how he would make a man out of me and how spoiled I was. I hated him, and I ignored his rules. One day, I came home pretty late, and he was waiting for me, red with anger. I didn't even get why. I mean, it wasn't even his house. Anyway, he started to lecture me on how I should obey his rules because he was the man of the house. He was so loud, my mother woke up. I rolled my eyes until he warned me that I would have to leave this house as soon as I turned 18. I couldn't believe it. I looked at my mother waiting for some kind of support, but she just went back to her room without saying anything. He got so angry at me that he made me run laps in the middle of the night around our house, shouting at me at the same time. Mom came out again, but all she did was ask us to be quieter because she wanted to sleep. Good thing that it was raining, because nobody could see my tears. The next few months, I was afraid of both being in the house and being out of it. It was just constant anxiety and anger. I finally turned 18 and was waiting every day to be kicked out. But my stepfather was feeling generous. Or to be more precise, my mother asked him to be a little softer. So the new deal was that if I wanted to stay longer, I had to pay for my room. I agreed, because this was the only place I could afford right now. And the room I tried to find would cost more. It was really hard to find a job. I worked at a fast food joint for a while, but I was so miserable with my situation at home that it was hard to talk with people. So eventually I started a job at a factory. It had terrible pay and a terrible